Most of the time, they see it when it's finished. They don't even know it's a flip until they look at the tax records, and then they ask questions. I record everything. I can show you before and after. This is what it looked like. This is what we fixed. This is what we changed. Well, that's very exciting for me to show the progress and then have their reaction and be like, oh my gosh, it looks like a different house.
But this is my house, Mommy. The one I asked Mr. Kringle for. It is. I know it is.
Welcome to The Pursuit of Home, coming to you from New York City. This is real people buying real estate and their unique journey to get there. We share the tips, tricks, and frameworks to help you navigate the bumps in the road that you won't see on reality TV or social media, and which no one has talked about until now. These are the emotional, psychological, ethical, and even spiritual challenges you're more than likely to encounter yourself. Learn from experts who've been there and hang out with me, Scott Harris, your host, who's helped thousands of people buy homes in Manhattan over the last 2 decades. Welcome to The Pursuit of Home, where we explore what it really means to find and create a place to call home. Today, we're talking about the art of transformation, specifically the process of fixing and flipping properties and how it can have a lasting impact on the homes and the communities around them. Today, I'm joined by Marina Joseph, business owner, a realtor, and the driving force behind Sunshine State Property Ventures. Marina transforms real estate opportunities into valuable assets through renovation and new construction, aka fixing and flipping, with a strong focus, and this is what I love, on revitalizing neighborhoods. She's helping bring new life to properties all across Florida, all while guiding her team through complex projects. We're going to talk about the intricacies of flipping homes, the emotional and financial considerations that come with it, and how Marina's work reshapes neighborhoods and provides people with new, thriving spaces to call home. Marina, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Marina, you've transitioned from being a real estate agent to a business owner at Sunshine State Property Ventures. You focus on fixing and flipping properties all across Florida. What was the moment that made you decide to take that leap? And how was your experience as an agent? How did that shape your approach to real estate investments?
Well, mine was a bit of a backwards trail. I started as a real estate investor. I was working in the entertainment industry. I am a designer. I was working for theme parks and designing and building things. So that's always been my passion and my love. However, once I started having kids, I needed a bit more flexibility with my time and my schedule. So since I already had real estate investments that I was doing on the side, I had rentals throughout Florida. I decided, why not take this full time and do real estate and make my own hours? So I left the entertainment industry and I started focusing on real estate investments. I started with rentals, so that was my whole thing. And then I was working under someone that did a couple of flips, and I was like, wow, that looks really interesting. But I had no idea how to start. So the way I did it was I had one of my rentals that I wanted to sell and try out a flip, So this all started, especially it took off when the pandemic hit and my husband's job was not great anymore. He was furloughed. So he was always the steady income and I was more of the freelancer. I could kind of, so we were depending on his job. And I asked myself, can I maintain this life if my husband is not here? So if his income is not here? And the answer was no. So I had to find a way of making enough income to be able to support myself and my family as the only income if that ever happened. So I decided to try
Serious
flipping.
stuff. Pretty serious stuff.
Yes, yeah. It was a scary time. Real estate was pretty crazy. There was a lot of new agents and everything was nuts. I was learning the ropes. I was not focusing on residential real estate. I wanted to do investments. Um, so I ended up buying my first flip. It was a little house in Ocala that needed a lot of work, a lot of work. I had no idea what I was doing. I knew nobody. So I didn't know contractors. I didn't know, but I saw the opportunity and I was like, I'll take it. It's real estate, whatever. I can sell it down the road and it will be fine. So I was able to find a team in the area and flip that home in a couple months and make a really nice profit. So
This is the team to do the renovation.
yes, to do the renovation. I build and I can do all of that stuff, but of course it's not a one-man show. So you always need some help. Plus I figure, if I do this.
Were you working alongside them?
Yes. So now not that much because I have many different properties, across Florida. So I can't be everywhere at the same time. Although I like being there. I supervise all of the projects. I'm there at least once a week. So at the different properties. But like I said, it's, one can be, I'm in Orlando. So one can be maybe 2 hours north of Orlando. One can be 2 hours south of Orlando. So it's very difficult to do it in one day. So I divide my week depending on the projects and, supervise and help and put things together there, paint, whatever they need me to do to kind of, put it on fast track. Because when you're flipping homes, you need to kind of finish it fast. But one of the things that we do, I think when I've seen a lot of other flippers do it differently, but I like quality. So I don't like flipping things in a bad way just to make just a quick buck. I want to make sure that we all get a fair deal. So we're all winning. The people that are moving into the house will have a nice house that will not fall apart in a year. That it will be safe, it will pass every single inspection, it will be able to get insured easily. So quality is my main priority. Of course, design is nice and all that, but we have to make sure that the bones of the house are good. So once I did a couple flips, then I started focusing on a single area. So we bought houses in the area and started bringing that neighborhood up. So in the beginning, it's a little tricky because you get kind of mixed feelings from neighbors. When they see someone new coming in and kind of modifying things and making a house look nice and then selling it, there's like a stigma with fix and flips, right? So they're like, well, you're just an investor. You don't care about anything. You just want to make money. And then I get to know the neighbors and they get to know me and we form a nice relationship and they know what I'm trying to do. So then they're asking me for, hey, I have been looking to get this roof fixed forever. It looks horrible. It leaks. And, can you help me out?
Trust. Yeah, you're building trust. Yeah.
So then it goes, it goes like that. So then their neighbor asks them about it. And then we have, and I hire people locally. So then those people can work on the other houses as well. And then it's amazing how little by little, these neighborhoods start looking nicer and gaining equity. And, then their houses can sell for more than they thought. Which helped everyone, So it's tricky at times right now, especially the market is a little weird. So our flips are taking a little longer, not in the repair and remodeling side, but in the selling side. The profits are changing a bit. So from the investor perspective, it is a different time. It's different than last year or the year before.
Yeah, I wanna pause there for a second to just point out to our listeners that, hey, look, if you're of the opinion that sometimes, let's just say, developers have a bad reputation, right? And
Yes.
so you're a little, and so, to somebody out there who's thinking about buying something that's just been fixed up and you're worried about something falling apart, it is refreshing to hear someone who is going out of their way to be a good guy or a good person. And so I just want to call you out, Marina, and say that that's something that's notable. And you don't hear that very much because a lot of the focus for developers of any kind is about value engineering and maybe following the contract, but ultimately, sometimes that focus on quality isn't there. You did talk, and in doing preparation for this, you were talking about enhancing the community, and that, was it something intentional? Once you saw it happening in one neighborhood, you said, "Wait a minute, I can do this in other places." Or, meaning like after that first time where you started to see the impact of how you were doing the work in that one neighborhood, is from there where you're like, when you're trying to pitch somebody in a different place, is that how it developed and evolved?
Yeah, I none of this was planned. So I kind of jumped into it because I needed something else. And then, I kind of work like that, where whatever feels right at the moment, that's kind of the way I go. Um, so it wasn't intentional. I did one house and then neighbors started asking, and then we were able to buy another house down the street. So, and then I drive by there and I see it and it looks beautiful, and the neighbors are taking better care of their places. Um, they're getting more, the ones that are uh, there for rent, they are getting rented quickly, and the houses look good and the neighborhoods look good. So um it's my hope that it's my little grain of rice to make a better place, a better community for people, especially in times like now where housing is an issue. I focus on uh mainly starter homes, so people that are just able to buy a house, uh, and they get down payment assistance, and other things like that. So that's my focus right now, is those houses. I don't flip, $1 million homes. I don't, not middle class. No, it's all lower income housing, starter homes. We make them look beautiful and affordable. So.
Now, if I'm right, Marina, you emigrated here when you were maybe 18 years old.
Yes,
Was it from Brazil? Is that right?
Argentina.
Argentina. Sorry,
Yeah.
Argentina. And how does that experience of moving here at 18, maybe, your English wasn't as perfect as it is now. How does that inform the way that you think about approaching these, both the projects that you're developing and also the people that you're selling to?
Well, being bilingual is definitely a great thing in this situation. There's a lot of Spanish speakers that, will call me and ask me questions and eventually buy the places. So that has helped a lot. And then just understanding different cultures, I think, from the Latino perspective. I grew up in Latin America, so I understand that. I understand the culture. Of course, every country has their own, but the whole idea of it, we have very similar things with other Latin American countries. And then I understand the American part because I've been here longer than I've been in Argentina. But it's I don't know if it has to do with the cultural part and understanding both, or just listening. That's the main thing, listening to concerns and not getting offended by them. In the end, it's a house. It's not, you're not selling, a living thing. So I like having a good relationship with the buyers and the people that are going to be living in that home. I leave an open communication line even after the deal is closed. If they have any questions about things, if they need someone to go fix something, I can send the same guy that did it. So I like having that kind of relationship. Unfortunately, sometimes that's lost because of the realtors that are in between, because sometimes they do have this idea of like, well, she's a flipper, so she's going to try to somehow, do something that will affect us, but it will help her. So that's hard to make sometimes I see people, the sellers are great and they are asking questions, and then like the realtor gets in the middle and creates a whole drama thing for no reason. But so that's the hard part.
Yeah, I just want to, we've had other developers on and their reaction is very, very different. The way they do business is very different. I've asked, hey, do you talk to the buyers at some point? And there's like, oh, no, we don't talk to the buyers. That's really between the renter, the realtors, and that
right.
I never get involved. To hear you say, you know what, I'm available is really something unusual and kind of special. And since you are talking to buyers directly, how do you help them see the potential in the property, especially if the house might not be perfect? How early in the process did they start seeing the house? Do they see it when it's completed only, or do they see it in the middle so that they might have some insight or input rather into what you're doing?
Well, right now, most of the time is they see it when it's finished. So after it's done, they don't even know it's a flip until they look at the tax records and they see that we've only owned it for a couple months. And then they ask questions about, why did you buy it? Why, is this a flip? What did you do to, and I was like, yeah, I record everything. You want to see the before and after? I can show you the before and after. This is what it looked like. This is what we fixed. This is what we changed. And also that's very exciting for me to show the progress and then have their reaction to say like, oh my gosh, it looks like a different house. It's amazing. So that's most of the people. But sometimes, like right now, I have a house that we bought that was just the bones. It was just the structure of the house. There's nothing else. There was no walls, nothing. It's just like, that the foundation and the bones. There were buyers that were looking at another house that I had listed, another flip of mine that was near there. And they kind of liked the house, but didn't like the location that much. So I said, I have this other one that I'm working on. It's not done yet. It's just the bones, but I can show you blueprints, and it's like down the road, and it has all these other things that you're asking about. Why don't you go stop by and see if you like it? So they loved it. And now we're under contract with them, and they are able to choose finishes. So because we didn't get to that point when they saw the house and they made an offer, now I ask them, hey, what color? I give them a few options. It's not that they have complete freedom, but I say, well, you want the cabinets gray or white or just wood brown? And they're like, white, or you want, what kind of countertops would you like for the kitchen? Do you want quartz? Do you want granite? And they're able to choose that. Which a lot of people don't do, because they're like, well, how do you know the sale's not going to fall through? And I was like, well, it's not, all the choices are good choices. So it's a matter of taste, I guess. But that's not very often that happens. I don't advertise the homes when they're mid-flip. I have an Instagram account and I kind of show the progress of it, but I'm not selling it until it's done. So yes, to answer your question, it does happen, but it's not very often.
And as somebody that was a little bit involved in being a real estate agent it's people are always talking about buying a home. It's your biggest investment, but then everybody gets so emotional about the process. And, it's very hard. People can't separate the emotional from the transaction. How do you manage the emotional aspect of the people who are buying your homes? I'm assuming that for you, when you're buying the home, you've been able to separate your own emotions from buying at this point. But how do you help the people buying your home from getting upset when something's not just so? It sounds like you mentioned listening, so I guess that have you been able to really build more trust than the average developer with these people?
Compromise is probably the best word for it. So sometimes we have plans, and because we open a wall up and there's other issues, and we can't do what we thought we're going to do in the beginning, so we have to kind of change as we go. But most of the buyers don't see that, so I don't really have to deal with much of that. I do deal with people that go in and they're like, oh, I wish this had the laundry was here instead of there. And I was like, well, I mean, you could have a new laundry area there, but this is how it is now. I can give you the contact for so and so that can install it for you. Other than that, they don't get very emotionally attached to get to the house because they're just looking at it. When we're in the middle, sometimes it does happen, I should say, because since it's kind of like lower income places, financing is pretty complicated sometimes with FHA loans and down payment assistance and all those things that could change, So maybe you're in the middle of the escrow, and they say, oh, I just lost my job or I just changed my job. And then everything kind of has to be redone to see if they still qualify for a loan.
Don't change. Right. Yes, don't change your job in the middle of a home purchase.
Yes, a lot of the times that's not, especially now, that's a little tricky. There's a lot of people that unfortunately are losing their jobs and needing to find something else. So if they're in the middle of purchasing a home, then that makes it very complicated. But I don't say to them like, no, it's done, cancel the contract, you're moving on, I'm going to give it to someone else. I kind of work with them and see, okay, how much time do you need? Do you have another job, aligned? Do you need to, okay, let's wait a little bit and see if you get that job, and then you can reapply and see what happens. But I don't sell the house to someone else until that's a for sure thing. If they're already committed and they put, deposit down, which I know it was a big deal for some people to be able to give a deposit and kind of have it there and not use it. So that's the emotional part. It doesn't have to do with the house itself. It's more about the people and if they're able to buy a property. I want them to be able to buy a property. I want them to be able to buy my property. So however I can make that happen, I will try. I will try all the different ways of making it work.
It's so refreshing to talk to someone, to a developer who has, a real heart there. I wanted to ask a couple more questions. Is there one lesson that you've learned that you want to share with those who are navigating their own home buying journey, their own real estate journey?
Patience. A lot of things, it takes time, and maybe they don't go according to plan, and you have to wait and see, and it's always a waiting game. So always go in patiently. A lot of people go and say, no, but I have my lease until that day. And then, well, just pretend that your house will take 3 more months or 2 more months and just plan accordingly, because it happens. It happens more often than not that it gets pushed back and something happens and we have to reschedule the closing. So if you don't want to be trapped in I don't know where to go, and plan ahead and have patience. Yeah.
I love it. And finally, you said that you started this journey of becoming a developer and a flipper, fixer and flipper when your husband lost his job, and then you became, you started doing this until you found that you were good at it, you enjoyed it, you started developing neighborhoods. Is he now working with you, or is he back to doing something else that
he was furloughed, so he was just out of work for a month or so, but enough for me to get scared. Although I did love having him home all the time. We had a newborn back then, so he helped a lot. It was a good timing.
Oh, that's great. Well, Marina, thank you so much for being here, and look forward to hearing and following you on Instagram and seeing the before and the after. And it's really a delight to hear how you're helping neighborhoods come back to life and helping add value to people's homes.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's it for this episode of The Pursuit of Home. I hope today's conversation gave you insight, clarity, and maybe even a new way to think about your own home search. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to follow, rate, and review the show. It really helps us reach more people on their own journey to home ownership. The Pursuit of Home is proudly produced by Fame, the B2B podcast production agency. Find The Pursuit of Home on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you want to connect, you can find me anytime on social media or at Magnetic. Until next time, happy home hunting.